What's up? Welcome in on this Friday. Congratulations. You know the drill around here. If you've been here long enough, you made it to Friday. You made it to Friday of Super Bowl week, which I'm telling you right now is a task amongst itself. Whether you got a team in the game or not, if you're living out here in Arizona, you've got the drunken management, wasted Phoenix Open, insert whatever you want to do there. We've got some stuff to talk about there, but you made it to Friday, and that means only one thing. You get that collective pat on the back. That's for all of you out there. Some of you guys already getting ready for the Super Bowl. Some of you guys don't care about the Super Bowl. I get it. It's fine. It's a Super Bowl. Most of us are still actually going to watch anyways. I know I'm jacked about it. I can't wait to get the whole crew back together next Wednesday night. That's when all three of us will be back together. Mack will be back with me on next Tuesday night. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. And I told y'all, leave it to Vegas Mack. He would find a Kirk or somebody that would impersonate a Kirk in what he calls Kirks and Caicos, which is actually, ironically, where he is today. Sent me and TJ a couple of things this morning. Hilarious stuff. Next Wednesday night, at the end of the program, we are going to actually play you a week in the life of Bahama Bob. And I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss it. About a 3-minute montage of everything that they've seen on this trip. A phenomenal trip for the McKenzie clan out there. So I'm still up in the Northwoods here in Arizona. Final show from up here. We got plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. I'm going to keep you updated on the Phoenix Open. We've got some news and notes in the NFL. Couple thoughts on the trade deadline. And then, of course, my official Super Bowl pick. And I'm telling you, even as of this morning, I'm still maybe in honor of Vegas Mac. I'm sorry, Bahama Bob not being here. I'm waffling a little bit. I'm kind of sitting on the fence. I've been on the same side of the fence the whole time. Maybe a little bit of overanalysis right now. Also, just a couple of tips that I want to pass along to you from people that I trust in the sports betting spaces. We've kind of taken it step by step this week. TJ and I on Wednesday night, we did some of the novelty props. Will there be a touchdown scored on the fourth quarter? First field goal over 37.5 yards. Those kind of things. We did our Super Bowl 6-pack, which I'll recap what that is. Our 6-way, hey, just a way to have some fun. We bet $2.50 on it. That should be an indicator to you of which way we like to go. I think my betting card right now, if I remember correctly, for Sunday has 26 different bets on it, and I've been kind of dropping these in over the last 2 weeks since we knew what the matchup was. A lot of them are straights. I don't think there's a lot of value in this Super Bowl. There's some angles I do like, but then there's some players that normally you would go to. Jackson Smith-Njigba. I love the guy. Offensive Player of the Year, as we found out last night at the NFL Awards. Nicky Manwari doesn't win the Defensive Rookie of the Year. That goes to Carson Schlesinger of the Browns. I don't want to dump on the year that he had in Cleveland, but we're going to talk about the Nicky Manwari situation. And you guys know if you've been watching the show long enough, and we appreciate y'all. And feel free to comment along if you're watching along. But I've been talking about Nicky Manwari all year. The dude is the ultimate Swiss Army knife for people out here in Arizona. And I know you know this reference. He is Seattle's Buda Baker. He is Mike McDonald's defense, Kyle Hamilton from McDonald's time back in Baltimore. Ankle injury, all signs, and according to Mike McDonald, say he's going to play. That's huge for the Seahawks. And it's huge not just to not, from a missing a starter standpoint. It's huge because of how many different things he does in that defense. And it's huge for Seattle's run defense. So all signs, as far as we heard yesterday from Mike McDonald, it is the same ankle that he hurt in week 1 against the 49ers, which I believe caused him to miss a couple of games early in the season. And I honestly believe, in seeing the way the voting tabulated and shook itself out, if you will, last night at the NFL Awards show, that if Nicky Manwari doesn't miss a couple of games this year, I don't know if it would have been a shoo-in that he doesn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Matthew Stafford, MVP, edges out Drake May by 5 points. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it in the fact that, and a shout out and a hat tip, and I tweeted this morning from our X page at Mike Arana Show to our guy Jared Smith. And if you remember back to the Monday Night Football game when Matthew Stafford threw the 3 interceptions, the next morning, because we like to snap react to everything, Drake May was no doubt the favorite to win MVP. Matthew Stafford had fallen to plus 350. And I jumped back on it in a way to save a little bit of face. Because if you were with us in our NFL preview show and we picked our MVPs at the beginning of the year, I picked Matt Stafford. And I never bet him. I picked him, but I never bet him. And I'm telling you, to watch an entire NFL season and have that sitting in my stomach all year as it started to unfold, going, how in the hell did I not bet a guy that I put out for an award on our show? It happens sometimes. We get busy in life. You all know this. Oh my God, the pit in my stomach last night when the inevitable happened. But thanks to our guy Jared Smith, who brought that point up, that Matt Stafford shouldn't have been just knocked down the pegboard that far by one bad performance. I was able to get him and win some money at plus 350. Wasn't the number at the beginning of the year, though. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Mike Vrabel, Coach of the Year. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Kyle Shanahan finished last of the finalists in Coach of the Year. You know, Ben Johnson, tremendous job. Liam Cohen, tremendous job. Mike Vrabel, tremendous job. And somebody brought this up on X this morning, and I think this kind of fits perfectly when you're talking about Kyle Shanahan. The smoke and mirrors that Shanahan had to go through this year to keep that team competitive and put them in the position that they were. For him to finish last, I don't know. But this puts it in the right perspective. Since day one, when Kyle Shanahan was hired, the expectations of Kyle Shanahan were elite level expectations. And until Kyle Shanahan wins a Super Bowl, I don't think anybody's going to look at him as anything more than they look at him now. And to be honest, it's not the biggest screw job of Kyle Shanahan when it comes to Coach of the Year. That was 2019. But congrats to all the award winners last night. We had a new Hall of Fame class announced last night. Congrats to those guys. I'm not going to go into detail on it. I'm going to continue to stand where I stand on the NFL Hall of Fame process, the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame process. I think they're all a freaking joke. Happy as a 49er fan that Roger Craig finally gets in the Hall of Fame. Cool moment with Ronnie Lott being able to be the guy that knocked on his door. So congrats to the high stepper there. Congrats to the whole class. That's about all I'm going to say on that. Waste Management Phoenix Open going on right now. Mike versus Mack, Season 3. The reason Mack's on a cruise ship right now because of Mike versus Mack, because he's beat me 2 years in a row. Both years I've got out to the lead early in the season, and Mack always runs me down in the summer. So as much as I'm frustrated with the way our leaderboard in Mike versus Mack looks right now, I'm happy because it looks like Mack's going to take the first victory of the season here. That's a good sign because both years I've started out in the lead, I haven't finished in the lead, and now he's hanging out with a bunch of people in the Dominican and Turks and Caicos. But right now, Hideki Matsuyama, Mack's pick to win, is leading. He's finished today. Today's round -7 for Decky. He's -10 overall. Siwoo Kim, another one of Mack's picks, he's T4 right now. I believe he is still on the course as we speak. Yeah, he's on hole 17. Jake Knapp, my guy. Jordan Spieth, my guy. Nick Taylor, Mack's guy. Scotty Scheffler, my guy. Scotty Scheffler's 12 shots off the lead. 12. Chris Goddard yet to tee off. He had the lead at the end of the first round. He tees off here in about 13 minutes from Scottsdale. Those of you that are not familiar with the Waste Management Phoenix Open, the best way I can describe this to you, A, have you been under a rock? You're not familiar with the Phoenix Open? Those that don't know, you might have seen it on TV, but you got to go. I'm telling you, one time in your life, you got to go. And the way to describe it to somebody that's not totally familiar with it, you see the 16th, and that's the scene. But the whole thing is quite the party. And imagine if you took a frat house and a sorority house on a rush weekend and dumped them on a golf course. That's what the Phoenix Open is. That's why we call it the Wasted Management Phoenix Open. It's funny. We used to make dollar bets behind the 18th green, seeing how many females in stilettos walking around on grass would eat shit and fall on their ass. And I can tell you how much money I made off of that because it's hilarious stuff. You got to go one time in your life. I'm telling you. You got Roz checking in. Kirks and Keikos. Man, I can't wait for you guys to see the recap of this trip. Mack has been doing a video log the whole way. He sent me a couple snippets today of it, man. It is going to be right. We're going to play that for you on Wednesday evening, assuming that our editing department, translation, at least for this project, me, can get it done in time by Wednesday. I'll return from the Northwoods down back to the valley, hopefully to a happy house. You guys have followed the show. You know the wife's a Seahawks fan. I know she's pretty pumped. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Jim Schwartz, he's resigned in Cleveland, and not surprising to anybody. And we knew this because Schwartz wanted the head coaching job, thought he was going to get the head coaching job. They decided to go with Todd Monken against what their search firm that they paid advised them to do. That's a pretty damn good defensive coordinator there. It's still sitting out there. Tom Brady's on line one, Jim. Clint Kubiak expected to be the head coach of the Raiders. Can't formally be announced until... I don't know if they can announce it after the game or if they have to technically wait till Monday morning, but Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks, headed to the Raiders there. The NBA trade deadline, kind of wild, man. Giannis is still a buck. The Warriors literally pissing away the window on Steph Curry's career. Winners and losers. I don't like to call them winners and losers because you can look at names on paper all we want. We know this. You can look at all the names on paper. And, ooh, big name here. James Harden to the Cavs. The Cavs are one of the now top favorites to win the NBA title. Sorry about it, Cleveland. You're not going to win the NBA title because James Harden doesn't win. That's the bottom line. So you can look at names like James Harden on paper and go, oh, they won the trade deadline for the sake of writing an article or whatever, and that's fine. I'm looking at some teams here that I really like what they did. And the reason I say it's hard to call people winners and losers here because we don't know how these guys are with their new teams. We know the players that they are, but we don't know the fit. And I talked about this the other night with TJ. James Harden in Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell. Those are two ball-dominant guards. A lot of late clock runs I'm expecting. Teams that play good defense against the Cavs, those two guys will dribble the air out of the ball. So while James Harden is a big name and a highly effective scorer and passer and all that stuff, we don't know how that thing's going to mesh together. So I'm looking at maybe some of the future stuff that's going to come out of this. I really like what the Jazz did. Jaren Jackson Jr. I like what the Grizzlies did. Speaking of a trade they made with the Jazz, Walter Clayton heads over to Memphis. I really am digging what the Charlotte Hornets are doing right now. Charlotte goes and knocks off Houston last night. They're playing great basketball. They're improved in every friggin' area possible. I love the addition of Kobe White from the Bulls to the Hornets, who are in playoff position if the season were to end today. I love the Vucevic signing from or trade for the Celtics. You know, they gave up Anthony Simons. I don't know if I love that part of it, but Vuce is so effective as a big man. The Chicago Bulls, like, what the hell are they doing? 9 million guards and like two people that can play center. You know, Atlanta, they take Jonathan Kuminga off the Warriors' hands. They get Gabe Vincent from the Lakers. They seem to think that they can unlock Jonathan Kuminga's skill set. And listen, Jonathan Kuminga is as talented as they get. The upside on Jonathan Kuminga is ridiculous. But he's a guy that's got people in his ear that aren't telling him good things. They aren't advising him the right way. The people in his circle aren't great for him. Kind of like Ja Morant, who seems like an untradeable commodity. Because what we heard going into the trade deadline is that Ja Morant could have been had for a song. And nobody got Ja Morant. And we can clearly see what the Grizzlies are doing. They got a haul for Desmond Bane. They got a haul back for Jaren Jackson Jr. And I know they wanted to trade Ja Morant. And I'm assuming that Ja Morant will be traded in the offseason. Speaking of your circle around you not advising you in the right way, 2 years ago, if you would have said Ja Morant was available, my God, the list of teams would have been out the door and around the corner. He was available for even less than that now, and he's still a Grizzly. The Giannis situation, Milwaukee thinks that they might be able in the offseason to build a team around him. The writing's been on the wall, Milwaukee. You got everything you could have got out of him. Go forward. Move on. So I'm not going to sit here and give you a winners and losers list. 27 of the league's 30 teams made deals last week. Anthony Davis, Trae Young, the new faces of the franchise, if you will, in Washington. It's assuming that Anthony Davis actually, we see him more in a Wizards uniform than we do in his street clothes. But I think Charlotte did good. I'm interested to see how the Cleveland thing lays itself out. Detroit, they made one move. They got Kevin Huerter from the Bulls, sent out Jaden Ivey. The interesting thing is Ivey's been a better three-point shooter than Huerter over the last 2 seasons. But Huerter gives them way more size on the wing. Big game tonight. Detroit and the Knicks. 2 of your top teams in the East. College basketball's got us set up fantastic this weekend. And it starts tonight with St. John's and UConn. But look at that slate for tomorrow. Trying to pass the time, get to the Super Bowl quickly. College basketball's got your back. Of course, Duke and Carolina. That Illinois-Michigan State game, I can't wait to see Houston and BYU. Florida's at Texas A&M. Texas A&M, who's still not ranked, playing good basketball here. You know, I saw a tweet, too, this morning. You got Roz jumping in here on this one as well. Yeah, absolutely. Macklin Celebrini's dad, Rick Celebrini, is the in charge of the Warriors player losing the medical team for the Warriors. Rick Celebrini is a guy that got Otto Porter to play a whole damn season. If he can get Kristaps Porzingis on the floor more than he's not, I like the move for the Warriors for 2 reasons. Number one, he's a stretch big, kind of fits the Warriors' mentality, and he's on an expiring deal. Because as we said last night, or Wednesday night, if you thought the winter of Giannis was fun, the summer of Giannis is going to be even more impressive. I'm interested to see how that whole thing shakes out. But if Rick Celebrini, Macklin Celebrini of the Sharks' dad, can get Kristaps Porzingis healthy, I think that's a great ad for the Warriors. Did you see the Warriors game last night against the Suns? The lockdown defense at the end, 16-2 run at the end of the game, without Steph Curry. Rick Celebrini could go down as literally God in the Bay Area if he can get Kristaps Porzingis on the floor. Let's get back into the college basketball side of things. St. John's and UConn tonight. It looks like we're only looking at, right now, 3 teams to get to the NCAA tournament out of the Big East. Those are 2 of them. Big game there, and then all these games on Saturday. Duke and Carolina, I'm going to bring this one up for a second here. Duke is Duke. They're on more than reruns of Leave It to Beaver. We know that. Carolina's an interesting team. I was talking to one of our FOPs, our friends of the program, Billy V, about this. Big Carolina fan. Carolina is really good until you get to the meaty part of the second half. And I have really big concerns about the Heel's ability to close games out. So I made a little fun play this weekend. Bet all these games individually, but I put them together. I like UConn on the money line tonight against St. John's. I like Duke to cover the 5.5 at Carolina because of my concerns about Carolina closing games. Don't sleep on that Clemson-Cal game either. That Cal team is going to the NCAA tournament. They're good. That's going to be a fun one. Florida, guard play, not what it was last year. Bigs, elite. You saw it last weekend when they pounded Alabama. 70 paint points. Texas A&M, kind of a tough place to play. Very interested to see that game. Florida, 4.5 points favorites there. I like the depth. I like the size. I like the strength of the Gators' bigs. Ruben Chinulu, man. If I'm John Summerall at Florida, I'm going, hey, Ruben, you want to play defensive end for us? I mean, because in college sports in general right now, everybody's got eligibility. Hell, I could probably go play for somewhere right now. I think the bigs are going to be too much. Florida's bigs for Texas A&M, so I like the Gators to cover there. And we've talked about BYU all season long. AJ DeBonsa. I love this kid. I can't wait to see him at the pro level. I think he's just as good as Cooper Flagg. A little different game than Cooper Flagg, but we've seen what Cooper Flagg's doing. Last 4 games, Cooper Flagg scored the most points from a rookie in a 4-game stretch since Allen Iverson. Oh, they traded Luka to get Kyrie and AD and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that didn't work out, obviously. But Cooper Flagg's the real deal. He's lived up to every bit of the hype. I think AJ DeBonsa is going to do the same thing. However, even though the game is in Provo, Kelvin Sampson's got another classic Kelvin Sampson team. They grind you down. You don't get to play your way against Kelvin Sampson's teams. You play their way. And BYU, as great as they've been, as flashy as they've looked, as fantastic as they've played, the one area that they've not been good this year is against ranked teams. I like Houston on the road in Provo in that one. So I did put it together. UConn, Duke to cover, Florida to cover, Houston to cover. Ironically, those 3 on the road there. What a slate that is. Tennessee and Kentucky, that's going to be a fun one too. Kentucky's kind of this year. They're good, and then they're not good. Tennessee kind of the same way. That's going to be an interesting one. So that'll wet your whistle, if you will, to get you kind of closer to the big game from Santa Clara on Sunday, which is still amazing to me that all these people that are out there covering the game still having a hard time realizing the difference between where Santa Clara is and San Francisco is. Like, it was mind-blowing to all of them when they finally got there. Like, do your homework, man. You're getting paid good money. You're getting sent by your employer to go there. Do a little homework. Stop bitching. You know how many people would love to be there covering a Super Bowl, be in the Super Bowl environment? Stop bitching about it. Plan accordingly. Not my problem. Can't wait to see this. I can't wait to hear Mike Tirico on the call for the Super Bowl. I really can't. Mike Tirico bet on himself a couple years ago, left ESPN. The dude's literally calling the Super Bowl and hopping on a bird to go to the Olympics. I mean, I can't wait to just hear him get that moment. One of the best broadcasters of our time. NBC, we've talked about them a lot on the program. Everything NBC touches in sports turns to freaking gold. Baseball coming to NBC. It's been great to hear Round Ball Rock and see the NBA back on NBC and all that fun stuff as well. So, plenty of stuff there. What are you doing for the Super Bowl? Are you a watch it by yourself kind of person? Are you a have to go to a bar, watch party kind of person? Found it interesting to find out that the most pizza consumed for the Super Bowl comes from the state of Vermont. Up in Mack's, Bahama Bob's neck of the, Bermuda Bob, whatever he is, his neck of the woods. Vermont consumes more pizza for Super Bowl Sunday than anywhere else. I know what we're doing over here with the rest of the McKenzie clan. We got pizza, we got wings, we got 7-layer dip. We're going to throw down. Let's talk about the big game. Right now, the numbers kind of holding pat. 45.5 is your total. That's come down a point from its original offering. Seahawks still 4.5-point favorites. New England plus 190. That's according to a site I'm not going to tell you about because they don't pay our bills. It's pretty much consensus all the way across the board. You know, we put out a video on our social channels this morning, and again, those of you that have dealt with the whatever the hell happened to our Facebook page and migrated your way over to YouTube and X, we appreciate you. Those of you that are new, welcome in. Happy to have you. Tuesday night, I should have some clarity and an announcement for you as far as what's going to happen with our Facebook page. But it's a Super Bowl, man. I mean, love it, hate it, casual, not casual, whatever the case may be, it's the Super Bowl. And I just can't get over the fact that it seems like just yesterday we were watching Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott, and here we are in Santa Clara. Next year, the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles will be broadcast on ESPN and ABC. I saw a couple of things, kind of interested to see this. Don't know if I'll watch it. I might record it to kind of see what they're doing, but it's called The Handoff. Starts at 11:30 Eastern time, I believe, on ESPN. It's a 24-hour special transitioning to the next Super Bowl, this Super Bowl. And while it might not be your top of the marquee teams, you know, it's not your Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts kind of matchup, or, you know, 49ers, Lions, Bills, whatever it is. I think it's going to be an incredible game. I do think Seattle is clearly the better team here. But I'm going to tell you right now, I have a hard time with this one because of that guy. Mike Vrabel, I mean, he's been there. Josh McDaniels, he's been there. The Patriots organization has been there. So despite a lot of new players and a lot of young players like Drake May and so forth and so on, they know how to handle a Super Bowl environment. I mean, we talked about it in the whole Robert Kraft snub on the first ballot snub from the Hall of Fame. He's in his 10th Super Bowl as the owner of the Patriots in 33 years, I think it is. Don't kill me if that's not the exact number. It's right around there. The 10 Super Bowls is 33, 32, 34, depending on the math you're doing. 10 Super Bowls in a little over 3 decades in ownership. But no, that's not good enough to get you in the Hall of Fame right away. Mike Vrabel's been a part of a lot of that. Josh McDaniels has been a part of a lot of that. There's people in the Patriots organization still that have been a part of a lot of that. So while I think Seattle is clearly the better team in this game, I'm not sleeping on the Patriots. But when it comes down to it, we get between the lines and foot meets ball and the clock starts ticking, it's the guys on the field that have to make the plays. Mike Vrabel can only steer the game so many different directions. Josh McDaniels can only steer the game in so many different directions. But I'm seeing a lot of people that just think it's going to be an absolute ass kicking, and I'm a little torn there. Patriots defense is really damn good. Seattle's defense getting all the attention, and they should. It's the best defense in the league. But I really think that the first quarter of this game is going to tell us more than anything. How does this guy handle it? Cool, calm, collected, athletic family, all the tools, runner-up for the MVP. Drake May's no joke. But you got to make plays. And you got to make plays, and you got to handle the moment. And there's going to be a lot of guys for both teams on the field that it's a brand new moment. Because now we're at Friday. All the hype and hoopla early in the week, all the stupid questions on Monday night, all the fun questions, all the fun interviews, the pre-taped interviews. I'm a dork. I love the Super Bowl pregame show. I watch it from start to finish. I love hearing the interviews. I love seeing some of the stories. I love hearing all the extra stuff. Speaking of Bahama Bob, there he is. Lots of Patriots fans on the cruise. Lots of Patriots fans everywhere. Vegas Mack checking in with his banana bucket hat. Maybe has a monkey on his head right now. Probably has a fruity drink in his hand. I think this is a fascinating matchup. I really, really do. But the bottom line is, when I look at this and I kind of think about it and I break it down, and I am going to pat myself on the back here because I have said this. I've been sold on this guy since December 25th of 2023. Wife's family's over. Christmas time. Niners, Ravens. Looked like at that point it was going to be a Niners-Ravens Super Bowl. And that guy right there made Brock Purdy and the Niners offense look like fools when he was the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. And then the Seahawks decided to run Pete Carroll out of town. And from a personal fandom moment, the first thing I said to myself was, oh shit. Because that means Mike Macdonald, who at the time was about the hottest candidate there was available and probably getting a job in that cycle. And nobody expected Pete Carroll to be pushed out there. Pete Carroll kind of seemingly had kind of his own exit, or so we thought. And I've told this story a bunch of times. Wife, a huge Pete Carroll fan, to the point where she actually bought some Raiders gear this year. And my afternoons were kind of a hectic mess because it was Niner games, Raider games, Seahawk games. And of course, I gave her priority on the big TVs. Because happy wife, happy life. Come on. I might act like a dumbass, look like a dumbass, but I'm not a dumbass. The Seahawks push out Pete Carroll, and this guy goes to Seattle, and I went, son of a bitch. Because I knew what was going to happen. Did I think it was going to happen this quick? Absolutely not. But since December 25th of 2023, I've believed in this guy. Talked about him last year. Got several well-worded messages from people in mom's basement telling me that I was an idiot to put it in okay to say here terms. Here they are in the Super Bowl. This dude's a football coach. This guy's a ball coach. We did not care. It's going to go down as one of the best sound bites ever after he won the NFC Championship, after the Seahawks did. Mike Macdonald is a badass. Dude knows how to coach. And they've got talent at every level of that defense. So I've wrestled with it a little bit. What does this guy do on the big stage? He's been to a Super Bowl. He's prepared for a Super Bowl. Didn't play in the Super Bowl, but he's gotten that experience. And I do think him going there with the 49ers a couple of years ago as Brock Purdy's backup, that weighs heavy to me because he's been through all this nonsense of the week. And that's what the Super Bowl week is. It's nonsense. It's hoopla. Shows Radio Row, which is incredible. If you've never seen Radio Row, Media Day, all that stuff. Nothing's gonna throw him off his game this week. Still dealing with the oblique injury, but he's been dealing with it throughout the whole postseason, and it hasn't seemed to bother him. TJ on After Dark, he'll make his final After Dark appearance on Sunday for the Super Bowl. I'm going to give you my picks here in just a couple minutes. How does Sam Darnold handle the moment? Big loss of Zach Charbonnet, which the Seahawks have been able to handle this entire postseason. Jackson Smith-Njigba, your offensive player of the year. Still mind-blowing to me that in the NFC Championship game, the Rams' defensive game plan from Chris Shula, who's an incredible defensive coordinator, how Jackson Smith-Njigba was just, good God, wide open so many times. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. Is he elite? No. He's a good quarterback. The guy's mentally tough. All the crap he's been through. Hell, his grandfather's the Marlboro Man. I mean, what else do you want out of Sam? How am I going to play the game? Well, here we go. A couple of these you've heard. A couple of these you haven't. I'll give you a couple other things here. First of all, and you've probably seen this a little bit. If you haven't, I'll tell you right now. I don't think there's any value in any of Jackson Smith-Njigba's props this weekend. I think maybe a little bit of value on him to score 2 touchdowns. But some of these sites, and I scoured them just before we started this here this morning, there's one site that's got his yard total up to 96.5. Could I see Jackson Smith-Njigba going off for like $1.50 and 3 touchdowns? Absolutely, I could. He's that damn good. Do I think he's going to? No. Do I like any of his props? No. The only one I have a small bet on is him to score 2 touchdowns in this game. I don't think there's a lot of betting value here. Why a lot of my bets, and I'm going to do this anyways, but a lot of my bets are straights. Drake May, popular number, 37.5, I think it was, last I checked before we started this here. 37.5 rushing yards is his total. A lot of people think he can go over. I see a lot of people on his longest rush being over 13.5 yards. I think there's a little more value in that one to me than over his total yards total. And you're going to go, well, if you're going to bet him over, for at least a 14-yard run, why wouldn't you bet him over 37.5? Okay, well, let me give you an example. We talked about this the other night. Patrick Mahomes in the first Super Bowl against the 49ers, his rushing total, I think, was like 54.5. And he was over the number. But the way that game went, Jimmy Garoppolo, who couldn't throw a pass 2 yards shorter to Emmanuel Sanders, PTSD moment, sorry. Mahomes takes a 5-yard kneel down, a 3-yard kneel down, and a 7-yard kneel down because they're trying to get the clock back. So I don't like necessarily May's number at 37.5. I do like his longest rush over because, as we know, Seattle doesn't blitz the quarterback a lot. But they have, I think, the second highest pressure rate in the league. They had the second highest pressure rate in the league for most of the year. I don't know if it's changed, but what I'm saying is he gets out on a scramble. I could see May going for 14 or 15 yards. And I'm way more comfortable on that than I am on his total because let's say the Patriots do win and he has to take some kneel downs to work the clock in his favor. There's not enough wiggle room there for me. If it was like 31.5, 32.5, might be more on it. Pay attention to your numbers. Don't pay stupid high juice. I saw one today. I think it was like a minus 190. I'm like, why? I'm not going to touch them. Oh, I can have a 25% boost coupon. Okay, still, I'm at like what, minus 145, 150 at that point? I am over on everything for Jake Bobo. Reception total, half, and it's plus money. Yard total, half, and it's plus money. Jake Bobo is going to catch a pass in the Super Bowl. But here's the bottom line of it for me. Seattle plays a decent amount of cover 2. And go back to our guy, Nick Eamon-Worry. You want a player comp for him. I saw this a couple of times yesterday. Kyle Hamilton of the Ravens. Derwin James of the Chargers. Budda Baker is the one we've used. He's all over the field. Drake May against cover 2. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, sacked 10% of the time on dropbacks. He's 21st in the NFL in QBR. Take that for what it is. I don't think QBR tells us as much as they want us to believe it tells us. But he's 21st in QBR against cover 2. Seattle in cover 2 this year. 2 touchdowns allowed, 8 interceptions, the best in the NFL. I can see this game being 31-17, 31-20. Can also see this game being 23-20. The first quarter, I think, tells us the entire story of this game, which is the opposite of what the entire postseason's been. We've seen wild fourth quarters, college and pro. We've seen wild second halves, college and pro. I told you yesterday, our guy Bill Krackenberger, one of the bets he loves is over 22.5 in the second half. I like that bet. How am I going to play the game? Seattle minus a half point in the first quarter. I like Mack Hollins' receiving yards total, which depending on where you look is somewhere in the 23.5 to 25.5 range. I took it at 25.5 on this particular site because it wasn't overly juiced. So Seattle minus a half point in the first quarter. I think the Seahawks come out great. I think they come out firing. I think they come out and make a statement. I think New England tries to ease Drake May into the game. Some short passes. That's why I like Mack Hollins over the 25.5. I know there's a lot of people on that one too. Our guy Jared Smith loves that as well. If you're following on X, you already saw that today. I like Jake Bobo for a touchdown. And I think the reason, as I said yesterday, that I like Bobo for a touchdown is because Zach Charbonnet is not there at the goal line for the Seahawks. And a lot of attention goes to, obviously, to JSN. to Kenny Walker. Sam Darnold's not a running threat for you down close to there. I like Bobo for a touchdown. I like Bobo for over that half yard or a reception over a half. I tried, for those of you that are going, oh, cool. I'm going to try and play him for 1 catch, 1 yard, and a touchdown. You can't do it. Trust me, I've already tried. I would have not bet anything else in this Super Bowl if I could have just bet Jake Bobo for a catch, a yard, and a touchdown. I would have put all my eggs in that basket, which would have been probably really stupid. But I like Bobo in there. I think he's got stupid high value. I think at plus 1050, I think it's overinflated. Play them straight, play them together. That's up to you, but that's what I did. Seahawks, finally, minus 4.5. They're the better football team, and I don't think that defense really is still getting the credit that they deserve. I like the Hawks, and I like the Hawks 31-20. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy everything. Great college hoops. Got the Drunken Management Open going on right now. Getting my ass kicked by Mack. I love that to start the season because I think that's going to end up benefiting me at the end. And maybe then I can end in Kirks and Caicos and talking to some locals and stuff like that. We appreciate all of you. Next week, only a couple of shows next week. We're going to give everybody a chance to just kind of reset. We're going to give the Island Guy a Tuesday and Wednesday show and the rest of the week off. Island Guy, Bahama Bob, comes back his birthday next weekend. So an early happy birthday to Vegas Mack there. Enjoy the weekend, man. It's the Super Bowl. Love the teams, hate the teams. It's the Super Bowl because, trust me, on Monday morning you're going to go, ugh, no football until September. I think it's going to be fantastic. Win some money, eat some food, drink some pops, have a good time. I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. Me and Nike will have a date for Vegas Mack, for Bahama Bob, for all of the people that are working their asses off, for all the new things we're bringing to you behind the scenes. I'm Mike. Enjoy number 60, everybody. You know the